Hey everybody, and welcome to another Rebel Show. You know, we're 41 episodes deep in this, and I've learned a lot. I hope everyone else is enjoying it and learning a lot. Always feel free to leave a like or comment or share, because we're trying to spread a message and to get the message out. That's the important thing, is to make sure Americans are aware that God's behind them and that God is behind the system of government that we have. We're getting into a situation where, you know, the way government's built is being attacked. And if we don't stand strong and understand why we are the way we are, it's really easy to get distracted by the news or things going on and start to go, oh yeah, you know, that sounds really good. Sometimes things that sound really good don't end up being really good. So we got to be careful. We got to be careful what influences we have without knowing the foundation of why it's there, like the Electoral College, for instance. If you've never really researched why that's in place, you may go, well, why don't we just go with the popular vote? Well, look that up. It's really interesting to find out that the big cities have so many people, and the country areas and stuff have way less people. And if you just go by and just take the votes of the big cities, the people in the country don't get a voice, and, you know, they don't get a say. They're led by what the big cities want, and the big cities want things different than, you know, the average country town. So that's why the Electoral College is so important. I'd recommend everybody go look into that. You know, start to look in why the country is built the way it is. You know, we have to remember that Proverbs 14:34, righteousness exalts a nation. That's important to remember, that righteousness exalts a nation, not the ideas of man or the clever ideas or experiments. It's righteousness. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. You know, when things are led the way, the proper way, it's good for all people. Now, righteousness in these scriptures are talking about morality, justice, lawfulness. You know, lawfulness would be abiding by laws. You know, the Constitution is there, going by the written Constitution and the laws. You know, some of the laws are the ways God puts things out in Scripture. You know, our founders were inspired by Scripture. They were inspired to build our constitutional republic, not democracy, in the way they did, based on Scriptures. There's lots of them. And I've been trying to learn and study them. And here's a couple, you know. Exodus 18:21, Old Testament. This is one of the scriptures the founders used to build government. And this is talking about when the children of Israel got to the new land and stuff. There was a lot of problems, and they had to deal with situations. And Moses was the leader. So Moses had to handle every single thing. It was overwhelming. It's too much for one guy to handle all the problems of a nation. So God told him, said, hey, and here's what God says to him. Moreover, you will provide out of all the people able men, such as that fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place over them to be rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. You know, you see some government in there, senators, congressmen. You can even put like local school boards and stuff like that in there. Isaiah 33:22 goes even a little further. For the Lord is your judge, and the Lord is your lawgiver. The Lord is our king. He will save us. This scripture puts all the emphasis on God being all this stuff to the children of Israel, which is true. But also you can say there's three parts: judges, lawgivers, and king. So the king would be the president. He's not a king, but it's just a guideline. You know, they got inspired by these three. So we have a president, we have the lawgiver, that's Congress. Congress is the strongest of the three. And then the judges. The judges look at the laws that are given and go, is this constitutional or not? And the president goes, okay, you guys agree, I'll sign it, you know? But what I want to talk about is, you know, if America's not careful, we'll send ourselves way backwards. I believe that there's a portion of people in the country that want to take us back to the plantation era. You know, they believe they're better than us. They believe they're smarter than everybody. We should just let them take care of us. And we got to be very careful, because we're on a teetering point. these next set of elections here coming up, the midterms, could be the teetering point that decides where America goes. And we have to be careful. Remember before I talked about the modern plantation or the master plan of the Democratic Party? The modern plantation, some of the characteristics we talked about, like high violence was in the plantations back in the slave era, such as we have that now. You may not think of it this way, but the high violence of the plantations, now we have Antifa, Black Lives Matter. We have extreme protesters or paid people to protest. And I even read the other day that these protesters aren't even getting their money. So now they're protesting for that. Wow. Dilapidated housing, terrible housing, Inner cities have rundown housing. Ghettos, barrows, and Indian reservations, it's rundown land. These are characteristics of the modern plantation. There's hopelessness. When there's no hope of getting out, you're just stuck. That's common. Broken families. This is a big one. God created the family to support each other. A man, woman it's easier to raise a child with a man and a woman in the house. 2 parents is the design, right? And, the attack on marriage or emphasis on gay marriage and promiscuity, the feminist movement, an attempt to turn women against men, abortion, these are things that are breaking up the family. And we need to be careful. God created a family system on purpose because it's the best way for us to go. No job opportunities is another one of the characteristics. We need a prospering society, and a society where, John's been an electrician for 12 years. He's doing really good. And he's like, I want to branch out and do my own and have John's Electronics or whatever and go out and be an electrician. And, when you have a booming economy like we do now, that's easier than when times are tough. Socialism wouldn't allow that to happen. There'd be less opportunity. Obama said certain jobs were gone. And we just have to train people on the new jobs that are here. But Trump says, I don't agree. I think we can bring these jobs and industries back. And policy intended to export America's job, creating wealth, and overregulation is what created a lot of these problems. We need jobs that make America strong. And like I talked about before, America doesn't need to be strong just for its own greed. Americans need to be strong so we have the availability to help other nations and help train other nations to do things the way we do it. That way they can be as prosperous as us. America is a very strong influence on the world, and it needs us to be strong and wealthy. It needs us to help finance missionaries and well drilling projects and stuff like that, They develop vaccines for people with nations that have tons of disease and stuff, So America needs to have finances, and we need to have industry that can support this, and science, and we need research and development, and we need finances to do that, and we need people that are wealthy to do it. That's more of a reason to get wealthy than just so I can consume everything. You should be able to live a comfortable and happy life, but it also should be to give. So we must stand now, or we may never get a chance to stand again, I think. With these next elections, if the Democrats, the crazy Democrats, there's good Democrats out there, but there's some really hard Democrats that have gone extreme. And, we got to get these people out of there, or Christianity will be something that's persecuted really harshly like it is in other nations, and it's just going to be wrong. America was created on religious freedom. No matter what you believed, you had the right to believe it here, as long as you didn't infringe on other people's rights. I heard a liberal once say that our government will never try to take our guns. Well, that may be true or not, but it's an inalienable right, which means it's given by God, which means man can't give it or take it to protect myself. God gave me that right. And if you don't believe in God, you can only look to government to solve your problems. And really, it's such a weak position to take because God created government. God created all this stuff. So I'm not taking a chance and saying, oh, well, they'll probably never try to take they're trying to take our freedom of speech away right now. There's so much suppression in freedom of speech right now. And that used to be where liberals lost me, because I was a little bit liberal in that. It's like I liked that they fought for freedom of speech, and they always fought for everybody. And now they're trying to suppress it. It's not right. Either way, I plan to stand and defend our God, not government, given rights and freedom. I'm going to be waiting and watching and reading and just standing back and seeing where I can fit in. You know, our founders designed American government in a specific way to prevent a government overtake of the people. Intended to. We the people should shape the government, not the government shape itself. That's what our elections are supposed to be about. You know, guns are a essential right to keep ourselves free. I would say buy a gun, buy ammo, and train as much as you can. Excuse me, sorry. You know, we need to be prepared, and we need to plan, but we don't need to be violent. It's not our way. The other people can be violent, and we can be violent back with our votes. I think that's what we do. So vote. Please tell your friends, call your friends, vote, and be ready. And I say, let's vote out the Democratic mob, and let's vote in actual representation for us. Let's not return to the socialistic modern plantation of the past. Let's move forward with righteous things, and let's take the nation back. Thank you very much.